Howdy, guys. Don't look so shocked.
Okay, so let's pretend I said something like, board games are for child molesters and corrupt politicians. Why? It's the board. In short, plastic and die-cut cardboard are old school. There's not enough hip 2000s tech for children to grasp onto, so how do we fix that?
Pogs?
And obviously some jackass in the 90s tried to eliminate that issue with the implementation of VHS technology. Play the game, then watch a stupid video with some washed out actor trying way too hard for a board game. But they really blew up with the introduction of DVD games. Usually they're just some garbage thrown in as a bonus feature for some movie, but there were also dedicated board games played with a DVD. Obviously the one I played a lot was Seen It, but there were others too, like Thomas the Tank Engine DVD Bingo and... oh, I guess that was it. But what exactly is Seen It, and why am I even bothering to explain any of this to you in great detail?
Because I am a pedantic man-child form of my younger self whose only relief from his crippling loneliness is yelling at innocent children about incredibly boring and tacky fads from the mid-2000s. Or something along the lines of that. Anyways, let's get rolling. I need this room to capture that pure 2003 aesthetic ASAP. Look at it now. This place is more ship-shaped than a goddamn octagon. But it feels like something's still missing. It could possibly be related to the arrest of my former ghost friend gamer KGR. Oh lord, why must you punish me like this? But I'm not one to just give up and accept defeat. No. I came up with a backup plan. Now I know everyone's done this before, so forgive me for skimming through the greater details, but the gist is that I bought a cloning device from a shady company that makes exact clones of its user. Basic stuff, I know. So allow me to introduce you to my 3 new best friends, all of which have distinct flat personalities and characteristics. There's Angry Ryle.
I'm so angry, I'm gonna irresponsibly brandish this knife in front of you, I'm so angry.
Scary Ryle.
I'm a spooker.
And who could forget the flamboyant antics of Gay Ryle? Hey guys, I'm Ryle. I'm just like the rest of you, but I prefer to be in relationships with people of the same sex as me. Alright, it looks like everyone is here. I hereby dedicate this group the ultimatum. And what's our catchphrase? There's no need to fear, for 4 adult men are here. Huh? What? Come on guys, I thought we rehearsed this.
Essentially, Seen It is a movie trivia game with some fancy bells and whistles attached in the form of DVD functionality. You get a board, cards, dice, and a special DVD where most of the game is played. It was one of the biggest fads of the 2000s, spawning several sequels and spin-offs. TV Seen It, Music Seen It, 80s Seen It, Sports Seen It. Eventually, they would license the name out to several other companies to make their own versions. That's how we end up with things like Disney Seen It, Nick Seen It, Star Trek Seen It, motherfucking Disney Channel Seen It, home console releases, handheld console releases. It was a cash cow.
Huh, DVD functionality. I see why you're so interested in this. You realize how damaging it is to the LGBTQ+ community by mocking them like this?
Not cool, dude.
Anyways, forget about all of that because absolutely none of that matters. What I was really interested was that early 2000s aesthetic. The era of still somewhat primitive CGI and funky techno music, stuff that I really remember growing up with. I mean, when the corporate logos go this hard, you know you're in for something special. It is so well executed. These 2 dice spawn from an endless abyss, rolling their way through what seems to be the literal evolution of board games before they transcend into the new medium of television. Perfection. The thing that makes the title screen so perfect is that industrial film reel motif with incredibly ominous droning sounds blaring through the speakers. That's when you know this isn't your grandpa's DVD trivia game. This is fucking Seen It, goddammit. I think Seen It Jr. captures that early 2000s aesthetic the best. Like, that ominous tune is still there, but it still falls closer in line with what I remember from that era. But the intro credits are crazy. It's a fatal dose of high fructose corn syrup condensed into a 40-second long intro. But it's not like the other versions don't have their own unique flair too. TV Seen It has somewhat unsettling jazz music, but in a nice red 1950s living room. Sports Seen It is probably what it would feel like to actually go to a sports event, and no, you can't make me! When you start getting into the licensed Seen It games, the menus start being much more distinguishable. Disney Seen It was the one I remember the most because, let's be honest, if you live in the United States and you don't have a Disney something in your house, then what the fuck are you doing? Go to prison. Actually, Honestly, the funny thing about it is that in their attempt to make it more kid-friendly, it managed to backfire so hard that it is somehow more unnerving than the original. I mean, look at it. It's a pink and purple wasteland with faceless, untextured Mickey Mouse heads perpetually cascading into oblivion, all to the tune of the least endearing music I've ever heard. The disturbing atmosphere is definitely not helped by this mostly static Tinkerbell gif endlessly flapping her wings with a vacant stare until you finally gain enough mercy to let her flee.
Could you just tell us what we're supposed to do?
Yeah, some context would be very beneficial to the situation we're facing right now. I'm gonna spook ya.
Not to worry, gentlemen. Just allow our dear friend SpongeBob SquarePants to explain.
As is mentioned several times, Scene It comes with a unique flex time game board that can be fully extended for a full game or folded into a circle for short play. I think that's actually a pretty neat idea. It gives it its own unique flair from a stylistic perspective, but it also works from a practical point of view. Once you place the cards and game pieces, you roll the dice. One's a numbered die and the other's an 8-sided category die. Wait a minute, those are the dice from the intro. The continuity in the SICU is astounding. It's just a regular-ass board game, just make your way to the end. The category die has a multitude of symbols corresponding to a specific challenge you must complete. Some of them are for the physical cards with specific types of questions being asked about movies, music, or just general pop culture from around the time.
This one's a doozy. What actress was accidentally shot in her apartment in 1990 while living with Charlie Sheen?
The fuck are these questions?
Yeah, no way in hell I get any of these answers right, but my go-to favorites were the buzz cards. When you pick one up, they'll usually have witty little anecdotes that essentially just boil down to yelling at you to move your piece forward or back.
Well, time to burn my house down.
But obviously, the best categories were the ones played on the DVD itself. The guy handling the remote, known officially as the DVD Master, will select either My Play or All Play. My Play has you watch a clip of some random movie, then has you answer questions about the clip you just watched. Real basic shit if you ask me, because over in All Play, every player tries to answer a variety of questions. Sometimes it'll be pictograms or fill in the blanks, trying to guess which actor it is by their invisible Photoshop. Some pretty unique stuff. Whoever gets the correct answer gets to roll the dice. That is, unless more than one person gets the answer correct, then you'll be forced into a tiebreaker, which I feel is the game's punishment for breaking the very fragile Scene It societal structure. It's like that kid in elementary school that would always try and get people to fight in the cafeteria table because at the end of the day, pure chaos is their 9 to 5. That's all you'll be doing throughout the entire game, like a very unengaging Mario Party. Another big marketing feature of Scene It is its randomized DVD programming coined Optree, so that way you'll always get different minigames or different clips every time, something that I guess sounded cool in 2002. The game comes to a head when you come across the All Win to Play space. It's got its own option on the game menu where players then compete in one last all-play challenge. If you beat it, you win. Congratulations on all that tension being abruptly vanquished. It's as simple as that, unless you got it wrong, in which case the person who landed on all-play to win gets sent to Final Cut. There, you'll have to complete 3 Final Cut challenges based on which numbered ring you're located on. If you get all 3 right, then you can win, but if you're like me, constantly jumping around from 1 to 2 to 3, back to 2 and 1, so many times that the other players have essentially caught up to you by now, then consider it the rest of your pitiful life only being filled with endless torment at the hands of your benevolent creators. And that is really the meat and potatoes of the entire thing. It really is just a basic board game with some video game-like qualities. It's kind of a stretch to call it a video game, even if Scene It Jr. has an ESRB rating, just so those pesky parents are aware of the disturbing themes shown in these games. But I think that kind of simple execution, integrated with the gimmick in a way that isn't overly novel, benefited to its success. Because like I said, Scene It would go on to have many different sequels. Pretty early on, they introduced Scene It game packs. They were just smaller and cheaper versions of the game that only came with some cards and a DVD. So say you had Nick Scene It, but you really wanted to brush up on your James Bond knowledge. I can't walk around looking like a basic Bond. My parents would never speak to me again. Well, here, have the Scene It 007 edition game pack, which did alternatively exist as a full release as well. It's definitely something that only the real Scene It enthusiast would would ever dabble in. By the way, the packaging is awful. These new old stock versions I have just have been sitting in some guy's attic unopened for so long that when I opened it, all the plastic had become yellow and brittle. Jeez, a board game has inconsistent quality assurance. Absolutely unacceptable. By the mid-2000s, they started making them even more extravagant. Nick's seen it has this slime factory theme, and although it is very bright and colorful, I think it strays away from that original Seen It aesthetic. And what goddamn game is a Seen It if there's no droning sounds? Don't even get me started on 80s Seen It. It just kind of pisses me off with its general trivia questions about what people my age think the 1980s were like. In fact, I'm pretty sure Space Invaders actually came out in 1978, not the 1980s, but I suppose that's just speculation. They made an update to the original game entitled Movie Seen It 2nd Edition, and it has definitely modernized. Luckily, it still has a very ominous look to it with the flat silhouettes, and the deluxe version has this cool holographic 3D cover art. When did that stop being a thing? That shit was peak. Around the same time, they started making console versions of Seen It. The Xbox 360 version came with these incredibly infantile-looking controllers that are about on par with something from Leapfrog. I also have this copy of Twilight Seen It on the Wii, and it is about as self-explanatory as it could possibly get. By the late 2000s, they had completely ditched any semblance of the original Seen It. They really only made licensed versions from this point on, like this copy of Star Trek Seen It, which I'm assuming faithfully recreates the ship from that show. Pirates of the Caribbean Seen It just has a regular-ass board and different cards, cause what, it thinks it's better than me? Or how about The Simpsons Seen It, or Glee Seen It, or very specifically HBO Seen It? Clearly, the well was drying up for obvious reasons. By the 2010s, the gimmick of a DVD board game barely made a blip on anyone's radar. So the sales declined far worse than they ever had before. The writing was on the wall when in 2012, ScreenLife's parent company Paramount had dissolved their studio, causing Seen It to be officially discontinued. They were working on a few more, like Star Wars Seen It, but those were swiftly canceled afterwards.
Although the last few weren't anything special, those original few games were perfect little time capsules of what it was like to be in the early 2000s, and in a weird way, that makes it special to me. So, is it time to bring out the big surprise yet?
God, you people ruin everything.
The fuck's that supposed to mean? It means you're fucking disgusting.
While researching for this video, I came across this at a Target, a brand new version of Seen It, completely remade for the modern audience.
The day of reckoning hath come for us all.
Yeah, so sometime in 2022, a company by the name of GameStar Plus decided to scoop up the rights to the Seen It franchise in order to make an entirely new version that includes movies from the current decade. And by gee whiz golly gosh, did they absolutely butcher the whole thing in such spectacular fashion that I no longer want to live. It all starts with the presentation. Opening the box, which no longer has the molded plastic holding everything together, you can see the cheapity cheapness found in this generic font-ass dice. To their credit, the board has a nice design, even though it might be spat upon by the generic fonts, and the game pieces are surprisingly accurate. Maybe a little too accurate. Maybe so accurate that I'm pretty sure they just yoinked some unsold stock from a Mattel factory. But the worst part is the lack of DVD technology. Instead, Movie Seen It embraces the wondrous world of digital storefronts. Hell, in order to play the game at all, you have to make a GameStar Plus account. Then you'll have to activate the game with the code it comes with on their website, presumably because they don't want you to use the original game and instead buy their version. But once you've ignored the 1.8 stars it has on the App Store and downloaded the game, the theoretical fun begins. Out of my way, 2002 Seen It. This version of Seen It is badass and cool, with epic Jason Bourne music to signify that. To give them some credit, the game still looks like a DVD menu, which just looks really fucking weird on an iPhone game. It completely lacks any semblance of charm that the original Seen It had. If I can't get a hit of that sweet 2000s dopamine, then what was all of this even for? In fact, it's so upsetting that I'm just gonna cut myself off there.
Alright, cool. You brought us into existence. We played all the DVD board games you wanted, so are we done here? You fool. Do you have any idea what your true purpose is? It was to fulfill a long-awaited desire to finally complete Seen It. All of this was just a sparring between inexperienced movie trivia lights in preparation for the greatest game of all time. Ah, fuck. Who played Bob Newart's wife on The Bob Newart Show? Michael Jordan? What does IM stand for in the computer world? On The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, what is the name of the camp where Maddie gets a summer job? Elaine from Seinfeld. Your ex accidentally went live while in the shower, ew. Now when SpongeBob makes love to the Starship Enterprise... Hey, what if I put this dye in my mouth? It tastes like a bowling alley.
You're the winner! Okay, are you happy now?
Yes. Can we leave now?
Well, let's not get crazy.